All right, hello. This is my very first tutorial, so it will be a bumpy ride. Hopefully I'll get better as we go along, but we're going to do our best. So we are going to do another version of this recipe book. I was going to use the farm to table paper, but my original plans had this set to be 4 pages. And of course, I only did 3. I also ran out of pattern paper because I only had 2 kits. So my books usually are paper eaters. I love the pattern paper. I will sometimes use plain colors, plain cardstock, like I did here. But very rarely will I do it for big parts that you're going to see. So I know, that's terrible of me, but that's how I like to do my books. By all means, replace this paper with plain cardstock if that's what you want to do. I mean, it's totally up to you how you dress your book. So anywho, we're going to work on this. I've changed just a few things as we go along. If I realize that something on the on the plan sheet is different, then I will change it here. I will not send these out until I am done with my videos for the book. So if I change it on screen, it is changed on here for you, if that makes any sense. So if you go through and pre-cut the way that I do, this will be correct when it's time for you to pre-cut. I got recipe cards. These are just simple little, I think sometimes they cost $2, sometimes they're $3 at Hobby Lobby. And I just got a variety of them. So, let's see. I told you I changed a few things. I am going to attempt to add a 4th page, because the one I originally had, I put it together and it just was not going to work. It was way too bulky and it just didn't look good at all. So I took it out, and then I have I have made new page 7 and 8 with little flaps, a belly band. It's a magic belly band because it's got a hidden closure. Anyway, and then just a regular pocket page because my creativity wore out. So this, I have the walkthrough on all kinds of websites. We'll go back to that if we need to. As I said, I originally was going to do farm to table, but I only have 2 kits for that as well. I do have 3 kits for farmhouse living. 3 kits is usually what I use on a book. So, I know 3 kits can be expensive because they're generally $15 to $17 each, but Cartabello and Echo Park about once a month have a warehouse sale, and you can get a kit for, I believe it's $7.50 unless you buy 10, and then you can get 10 for $60, so then they're only $6 a piece. So are they the brand new kits? No. Does anybody that I'm giving this to know that it's dated paper? No. So this works perfectly fine. So I got 3 kits for $18. So that is how I get my kits. The only exception being the Christmas book that I did. I could not wait for that paper. Plus it was Simple Stories paper, and I have not found any warehouse sales that they do. I did pay full price for that. Just the paper, ephemera, and supplies for that alone cost me $125. So, yeah, how much do you like that person? How badly do you need that paper? That book was done for charity. They auctioned it off. It went for I was surprised at the price it went for, so I was pleasantly surprised. But that's the only way I've ever sold books. All the rest of them I have given away. So, anywho, this is the paper we'll be using. I think it's cute. And it's got a white background, whereas opposed to this paper had the cream background, which makes it kind of a darker color for me. I'm not normally, if you could see my whole craft room, it's all done in white and bright colors. So anywho, so we're going to get started on page 1. So I have already put my pages together. I may do another video at the end just showing how a page is put together. And then I'll move it to be first. Yeah. So anywho, I have pre-cut all of my stuff. That is the way I find easiest for me. So everything here is labeled A, B, C, D, goes through the alphabet. I used to do it, and it was a continuous alphabet. But then one time I got into AAA, BBB, and it was just too much. So each one is labeled. I got this handy dandy little thing on Amazon. I've got, I think, 12 of them for like 20 bucks. Some of them are floral, some of them are just colors. And then I used my label maker. And so it's got my covers. Page 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. Very rarely do I have a book that has more than that, with the exception being baby books, because I try to do 12, a page for each month. So, covers, that would be your inside, front and back covers. But we're going to start on page 1. So, I already have that cut and scored. These big paper clips are great because they don't mark your paper. They'll hold all your stuff. So as you can see here, I have page 1A. Page 1A. And then there's page 1A1, which is going to be the back side of this front movable pocket, all the way through to C. So my pages are already cut. They are already scored. The page we are doing is this page. So it has these pull-out pockets. Pull-out, fold-out, I don't know what you want to call it. Swing-out pockets. So, and then there's a pocket here. So we're going to be making 2 swing-out pockets and then 1 regular pocket. So here is my page, page 1, because, I don't know, maybe it's because I've worked in special education for too long. I mark my top, my spine, and my bottom. I have assembled a page upside down and did not realize it until it was time to put it in the book. So, top, spine, bottom. The back side is page 2, top, spine, bottom. I do the spine because when you're doing pockets, the worst thing in the world you can do is not pay attention. And on page 2, where your spine will be over here, put a pocket that comes to here, and then you have a hard time pulling stuff out. So that's why I put the spine. All right, so page 1. So we're going to get our page 1A and A1. So I have scored it a 1/2 inch. I believe my directions say on the left, the right, and the bottom. So it's 9.5 by 3 3/4. My first will always be width or across. And my second measurement will always be top to bottom. So that's why whenever I say left, right, bottom, I know that this is the way the direction of the paper instead of this direction. So we're going to cut off our little corners. Can you see it with the hump better? Yeah. So we're going to cut across our corners because I don't like bulky ones. I learned from Cal over at Paper Scissors Story, who is amazing, and her groups are quite fun, that we call this a kinky miter. So instead of cutting straight across, you're going to cut to the corner And then your second cut, you're going to kind of curve it up. It's a kinky miter. I don't know why, but they are rather cheeky over there. She is British. I do know that some, Your Book of Memories, I think. I did a book by her one time, and she does not do the flaps on her pockets. She just does a straight tape, and tape, and then puts it on. She doesn't like how you can sometimes get hung up on this lip. Every time I've done a pocket that way, it falls apart. So I will not do a pocket that way. Hang on, my video froze. Oh, it didn't freeze for you. Good deal. So we are going to fold these up. Always fold with the hump on the inside. You want the valley on the outside. And then burnish them. Press them down, whatever you want to call it. And this is going to be the first arm that swings out. So I did put a gusset on it because otherwise it gets really hard to close with the other pocket behind it. So we're just going to simply, close there, fold it there, and fold it there. Again, the hump's on the inside. If you already know that, great. When I started watching these videos, I didn't know that. So we are going to attach this pocket to the front of A1. So A to A1. First put it on there, make sure that I got my measurements right. I do, which is exciting. I use glue. I know a lot of people use, oh, for the love. A lot of people use tape. I have tried all the tapes. I've tried the red tape. I've tried the cheap tape. I've tried Amazon tape. I've tried scrapbook.com tape. Scrapbook.com, I think, works just as well as the red tape, score tape that everybody loves. I cannot get the small, hold on, this size tape to work. I mean, it works, but it doesn't last. I will, however, use the 3/4, the 2-inch, and I have a 4-inch one. I think the larger they are, the better they grip and they stick. But for the small stuff, I use glue. This is the Art Glitter glue. I don't know that now is a good time to order it. I think whenever it starts getting really cold, they suggest you not order it because it doesn't do well in the cold. So I usually stock up around fall break. I work at a school, so that's how my years are. My calendar goes by school calendar. So usually around fall break, I know that I need to buy a bottle or two. Also, I know the glue is expensive. I use far less glue than I do tape. So this is a 4-ounce bottle, and I can probably make 2 whole books out of this. And I buy the big bottle for like 20 bucks. So I think it works well. All right, we're going to line it up on the corner and the side. Scoochie it up. We have our pocket. So I lined it up on this side first. Then I made sure the bottom was even. And then this side falls into place. If it's a little off, I have yet to have a problem with the pocket being a little off. I do always go through and burnish. I don't know what everybody else calls it, but my British cow calls it burnish. So we're going to burnish it. That just helps make sure it's going to stick. All right. So there's pocket 1, or pocket A, I guess you would call it. Excuse me. So here is B. This one, B1, excuse me, does not have a gusset because it is going to lay flat. So we just have one score line. Again, we're going to come over here, do our little kinky miter. not straight across, just a little wonky. You could call it a wonky miter. Fold down. Go ahead and burnish. When I have a long fold line, I will usually start in the middle. It tends to help keep my line straighter, because I do notice that my lines, my folds, will sometimes go from the bottom to the top, which makes it slightly off. Nobody knows that but me, but it will bother me. So I will, especially on the long ones, I will start in the middle. All right, so didn't say that at the beginning. On page 1, pocket A, we want the hinge to be at the left. Pocket B, we want the hinge on the right. So get your glue. I also got my little bottles on Amazon. And my craft paper is just the $5 craft paper package from Walmart. I will usually get my color cardstock from Michael's. But the craft seems to work perfectly fine for the, 10 or so books that I've used it on. All right, so there we have it on. Again, lined it up. Lined it up. Lined it up. Give it a good burnish. Pocket B. All right, our next pocket, we're not going to put on yet. We need to put A and B on first, and to do that, we need to go ahead and make them angled. You don't have to have an angled pocket. If you want them to be rectangle, that is perfectly fine. Again, it's a free world. You can do your book however you want. I, however, like the angle. So what I'm going to do is get out my ruler. And this pocket is 3 1/4. So let's say we make it 1 1/2. Yeah, so we'll have the pocket. We're going to mark a spot on the non-hinge side of both pockets at 1 1/2 down from the top. All right, so this is my hinge. This is the top of my pocket. This is the outside. So 1 1/2 down from the top. Mark it there. Get out. I call it the Big Daddy. I have a small daddy, but I prefer the Big Daddy. I'm going to line up. So here's my hinge. I am not going to fold my hinge in. I'm going to line up this point. Okay, hinge, hinge, gusset. This is the outside of my pocket. I'm going to line up the very top. Down here at the bottom. Ah, wrong way. Right here. And then I'm going to line up this 1.5 inch mark down here on the bottom, or on the other side. So the bottom of my pocket is here. This is the part we connected, right? This is the top of our pocket. This is where our recipe cards will go in. So the 1.5 inches here, the top of the corner is here, and there we have an angled pocket. So this one is done the other way, right? So here's the inside, here's my bottom. My 1.5 inch sticks out. My corner where it meets the hinge goes right here. And cut. And there you go. Simple as that. Toss those. So we need to put these on before we put our pocket C. So let me get my little magnets because we're going to need those. I will be using, I have a plethora of magnets, but the 10 by 1 millimeter, they're the standard ones that everybody seems to use. They work fine. So that is what we're going to put on here. I will say this, there is a difference with the Cartabella paper and the Echo Park paper. Cartabella paper is thicker because it's textured. So sometimes I do need to use my 10 by 2s, or I will just simply double up my 1 millimeter ones. So we'll put pocket A on first. Put a scrimmaging of glue. I'm going to go ahead and fold it so that my gusset is flat. And I want to line up the bottom of my pocket with the bottom spine corner, or the bottom left corner. So that goes there. Line it up here. Make sure we're somewhat lined up along the bottom. It will not always be perfectly lined, and that is fine. People are just amazed that you have made pockets that swing out. And they get really giddy about magnets. So don't worry if it doesn't completely line up. You are the only one who will notice that, because we are our worst critics. All right, so this is my pocket B. There's no gusset. We're going to line this up with my bottom outside or bottom right corner. So lined up in the corner, lined up this way. See, not completely lined up, but close enough. We're going to call it good. So go ahead and burnish that glue. If you got fat fingers like me, you can use those. If you're dainty like my mother and my daughter, get out your handy dandy, I don't even know what this is, scraper. This came with my Silhouette, the first one from like 2011. So you can see I've worn it down. She's an oldie but a goodie. I got new ones, but this one I still use. I also have the We Are Memory Keeper ones, but tried and true. All right, so here is our C pocket, which is going to be the one that goes along the back. We're going to wonky miter, kinky miter. I'll have to make sure Cal's fine with me calling it a kinky miter. She's pretty friendly. I bet she won't mind. All right. Go ahead and fold in. Again, fold with the hump on the inside. My valley is on the outside. So if I were scoring this right now, where I score it on top, that creates the valley. Again, if you already know, just ignore my blathering. I'm just remembering whenever I knew nothing, and it took me a good 120 hours to create my first book. But my daughter still has it, so that's exciting. 2020 was when I made that book. She wanted a book to keep pictures of her and her new boyfriend. And they were getting ready to celebrate their 1-year anniversary. So I made her a 2020 book. And now they are engaged and set to be married in September. I'm not saying it was the book, but it was fun. Anywho, so she wanted a book. I don't like things that are flat because I think they're dull, but I also worked in elementary education for a long time. So I like things that move and are interactive. All right, this pocket is smaller in than the width of our page. And I did that for a reason, because when you fold these over, if your pocket comes all the way over to the hinge, to the line, it will not shut flat or squared off, or whatever you want to call it. I'm not a technical person. So I did make the pocket smaller. If you want it to be a little bit bigger, just increase C right here by 3/4. So you could make it 9. Well, our page is 8.5. And you always want to make your pocket an inch wider, because you have a 1/2 inch score on both sides. So you could just make it 8.5, 8 3/8 if you want to make your little forgiving part a little bit bigger than what I have. All right, so we have that, but it will flip open. So let's get out the magnets. I know a lot of people like the basic gray magnets because they are already have sticky on them. I usually use either plain old tape, and then I tape it down. So let's go ahead. I am going to want one on the outside of my first pocket. So we'll go to the inside, place it around here. I'll either use plain tape, you just want to make sure it does not go too far over here, because your paper will come within 1/8 or 2/8 of the side of your base. Or some people do use, you know, this tape, or you could use the 1/4 tape. Tear you off a small scrimmaging. Put your magnet, it will usually find its way. So put it with the sticky side up, whether you're using your double-sided tape or just your regular old Scotch tape. Set the magnet that belongs on the other part, flip it over, press down, and there it is. Now I'll come back and kind of burnish it, make sure it's stuck. And then when it's time to put paper on, you can peel that off. I'm a Scotch tape gal. It's way cheaper. I have a lot of it, so I usually use Scotch tape. So we have that for A. I'm going to go ahead and put another one that will connect B to C. Yep, so we have a magnet that connects the inside of A to the outside of B. And we're going to do the outside of B to the front of C. So we'll stick it around here. All right, get my other side. This is for the magnet that will go on C. All right, hold that down. My tape got a little wonky. There. So that'll stay down. That'll stay down. We are done with page 1. So you can go ahead and start putting your pattern paper on it if you want. I usually build the whole base pages, do all the interactive parts, and then I put the pattern paper on it last. Well, I put the pattern paper on it next, and last I attach it to the hinges of the book. So the way I'm doing it now, the order of this, is the order in which I build my books. All right, so there's page 1. We will do page 2 in the next video. I will have it labeled page 1, page 2, so that you don't have to go through and try to figure out which one is which. All right, bye, thank you. Hope it wasn't too cringy.